Coming up on BCN today. There has been an increase in break and enters in Lethbridge. Police have tips on how best to protect yourself and your belongings. A new report says Lethbridge has some of the lowest rental rates in the country. We have the details. And Trudeau and Singh have a phone call about Trudeau's brownface incident, but mom's the word about what was said.
Your Canada. Your Southern Alberta. Your stories. From our studios in the heart of Lethbridge, it's BCN Today with Jeanette Roche.
Hello and thanks for joining us. There has been a large increase in break and enters in the city. Police say from January to July of this year, there were 78 break and enters per month. Some of the worst areas hit include Westminster, downtown, and London Road neighborhoods. As Ainsley O'Reilly explains, police say many of these B&Es can be preventable.
Break-ins in Lethbridge have jumped 22% in just 1 year. Law enforcement says that most of these cases could have been prevented. In nearly half of the cases, the culprits entered through a residential neighborhood, and the main port of entry is a garage. From there, he or she can enter the home via the man door or the overhead door. In 38% of the cases in Lethbridge, the man door was left unlocked.
But that's not all. 71% of cases where entry was gained from the overhead door, it was found to be left open. In 29% of the cases, the home's front door was left unlocked.
Make sure you always lock your doors. We've all fallen victim to not closing our doors, not locking our doors, myself included. So we understand that this does happen, but certainly the more often we close and lock our doors, even when we're home, working in the backyard, the less likely you'll be falling victim to these crimes of opportunities.
Lethbridge police want residents to focus on the numbers, opposed to opinion.
We want to respond based on facts, and we want to respond based on data because we all have an opinion of what we think may be a bad area of the city or something that may be happening more than it actually is. And with going through the data-driven approach that we're taking in recent years, we can then say, well, no, this is in fact not true. This is where the problem lies. These are where the resources need to be, and then we can respond accordingly.
For Bridge City News, I'm Ainsley O'Reilly.
Thank you, Ainsley. A new report says Lethbridge has some of the lowest rental rates in the country. According to rentals.ca and Bullpen Research and Consulting, our city finished 28th out of 30 Canadian cities for a one-bedroom unit at $917. A two-bedroom came in at $1,014. Lethbridge is also the least expensive municipality when you include Calgary, Edmonton, Red Deer, and Grand Prairie. The national average rate declined 0.7% last month. That still didn't make renting an apartment affordable in Toronto. The average for a one-bedroom unit in Canada's largest city is $2,330, and a two-bedroom averages just over $2,900 per month. Community members are encouraged to join Lethbridge Fire and Emergency Services this Sunday to retrace the ascent and descent of the 110 stories of the World Trade Center by completing 10 laps of the Lethbridge Center Tower. The Lethbridge 9/11 Memorial Stair Climb event will honor the 343 firefighters and 70 law enforcement members that died in the World Trade Center on September 11, 2001. To register for this event or to pledge a participant, visit raceroster.com. The Liberals and NDP aren't saying much about a phone call last night between Justin Trudeau and Jagmeet Singh. The leaders discussed images that surfaced last week of Trudeau wearing blackface and brownface. Singh agreed to the call on the condition that it would remain private, saying he didn't want to be part of an attempt to repair Trudeau's image. The Lethbridge Hurricanes opening weekend started off bittersweet. The boys lost in a shootout on Friday at home, but came up big on Saturday with a 3-1 victory over the Medicine Hat Tigers. Forward Kalen Addison returned from the Pittsburgh Penguins just in time for Saturday's game.
I took like 3 flights the one night and then got up and went to Med Hat the next day, so it was busy for me. But like I said, it's nice to be back and we got an exciting team, and it's going to be an exciting year for sure. It's, the biggest one is the age difference. It's, you're playing against all full-grown men up there, and you come back here and it's age 16 to 20. So I think that just says it right there, the difference in that regard. And I think it's just bigger guys, and like I said, just being older. So I think that's the biggest difference. It's a lot different this year. There's a lot of missing guys, and there's a lot of missing key pieces to our organization last year, and in the years we've had before. So it's tough seeing those guys go, and those are my best friends. But like I said, it's an exciting year here, and it's not a down year for us. We're still going to try and win.
The Canes are back at it this Friday at NMAX Center when they take on the Red Deer Rebels at 7 p.m. The Alberta budget is set for October 24th. Premier Jason Kenney said tough decisions will have to be made in order to get our province's multi-billion-dollar deficits under control over the next 4 years. The United Conservatives ran on a platform that the budget would be balanced during their first term. Kenney says his fiscal plan includes finding savings in healthcare, education, and capital spending. Alberta's debt currently sits at $62.7 billion. Green Party leader Elizabeth May released the cost of her party's platform this morning in Halifax. The Greens say they would balance the federal budget in 5 years, even with plans to introduce universal pharmacare, abolish post-secondary tuition, provide universal childcare, and protect the environment. May says that it would be possible because of the party's plan to boost corporate taxes, close a capital gains loophole, tax banks, and eliminate fossil fuel subsidies. Conservative leader Andrew Scheer is pledging to reverse decisions by the Liberals to increase the tax rate on small business investments and make it harder for companies to pay dividends to family members.
I used to work at a family restaurant, and my paycheck and tips helped me to pay my way through university. Then I worked at a small family-run insurance company in Regina. In these first jobs, there were long hours, late nights, hard work, and new things to learn. But I learned so much from those small business owners. I learned that people who take risks and don't give up on their dreams create the greatest amount of prosperity for the greatest amount of people.
NDP leader Jagmeet Singh is focusing on issues related to climate change. Singh says an NDP government would create an east-west corridor to help carry clean energy across the country.
While Mr. Trudeau caved to the fossil fuel industry, we are committing to ending fossil fuel subsidies once and for all. He bought a pipeline for $4.5 billion. What a betrayal of our future. Instead, what we would do is invest in the future. And these are our 3 commitments today that I want to highlight. First off, we want to electrify all public transit by 2030. This is a massive investment in public transit, and we know that transportation is one of the leading sources of greenhouse gas emission. This is an investment in our future. By electrifying transportation, we create jobs. Here in Winnipeg, with New Flyer, one of the leading companies building electric buses, this will create jobs in communities, this will create opportunities, and this will also fight the climate crisis.
Meanwhile, Liberal leader Justin Trudeau was in Hamilton discussing how important health care is to Canadian families.
A re-elected Liberal government will also work with the provinces and territories to ensure that all Canadians have access to a family doctor or a primary health care team on a regular basis. To have the same doctor or nurse practitioner to do your yearly checkup and monitor your health over time can help prevent illness.
British Prime Minister Boris Johnson remains on a collision course with Parliament over his determination to pull Britain out of the European Union on October 31st, even without a deal. Attorney General Geoffrey Cox accused MPs of being a disgrace as Parliament resumed following a court decision that determined Johnson's suspension of Parliament was illegal. Parliament has passed a law requiring Johnson to seek a Brexit extension if there is no deal, but Johnson says he won't do that under any circumstances. Starting today, job hunters in Canada and 8 other countries can use their smartphones to start an application to work at McDonald's by using voice commands with Amazon's Alexa or Google's Assistant. While some job recruitment companies have built voice recognition systems on Google and Amazon's platforms, both companies say McDonald's is the first direct employer to use its platform in this way. For McDonald's, voice-initiated hiring is a way to stand out in a tight job market. Ming-Wan Zhou, an executive for Chinese tech giant Huawei, appeared at a Vancouver, BC court for a preliminary hearing. The U.S. government is seeking to extradite her on conspiracy, fraud, and obstruction charges.
The U.S. government alleged that Huawei had done business through one of their subsidiaries with a company that has done business with Iran. There are sanctions against Iran which would break these rules. They alleged that the company did this. They also alleged that Meng Wanzhou herself at a meeting lied to a banking executive saying no, they do not have any dealings with Iran, and that is why they've charged her and her company with fraud. Meng is scheduled to have her extradition hearing begin in January. What's today is about, the defense is alleging that her arrest at the Vancouver airport was improper. They are suggesting that the RCMP and Canadian Border Services did not give her the right to counsel, did not read her rights. They also suggested they took her electronic devices at the request of the U.S. government to get information off it that the FBI would use.
Well, you may not like the long-range forecast very much. A little snow is on the way, but complete weather details are coming up right after the break, so stay with us. Welcome back. Here's a look at our weather highlights. Today in the forecast, a high of 18 degrees in Lethbridge with a mix of sun and cloud. Tomorrow, chance of thunderstorms though with a high of 15 degrees. Looking to our 5-day forecast, Friday, we got mainly cloudy skies with a high of 7 degrees. Lots of flurries, though, for this weekend. I apologize for that. So we got a chance of flurries on Saturday and Sunday with highs of 2 and 4 degrees for those days. Over on Monday, also flurries with a high of 6 degrees, but sunshine back in the forecast for Tuesday with a high of 13 degrees. According to the almanac, the average temperature this time of year should be 18 degrees, but the average low was recorded at 4 degrees. Back in 2001, we recorded our highest temperature on this day, which was 33 degrees. The low, though, was -4 back in 1972. The sun rose this morning at 7:21 a.m. and it will set tonight at 7:25 p.m. So those days are getting shorter, unfortunately. Here's a look at our national weather forecast over in Victoria. We have a mix of sun and cloud today in Victoria, 17-degree high. Chance of rain, though, in Vancouver with a 16-degree high. Rain also up in Edmonton with a high of 15 degrees, and down in Calgary, a mix of sun and cloud with a high of 15 degrees. Over on the prairies, Saskatoon, we got some rain showers up there with a mix of sun and cloud, a high of 16 degrees. Much the same in Regina with 16 degrees as well. A mix of sun and cloud in Winnipeg, high of 16 degrees there as well. Over on the east, our friends in Toronto are going to see 26 degrees today with a mix of sun and cloud, also some scattered showers there. Lots of sunshine up in Ottawa though, and Montreal, we got 21 degrees and a mix of sun and cloud. Over in the Maritimes, Fredericton, we've got scattered showers there with 15 degrees. Showers also up in Charlottetown with a 16-degree high. We got some rainy skies also in Halifax, 22 degrees. Lots of rain on the East Coast. St. John's today, 11 degrees, also with periods of rain. That's a look at your national weather forecast. Community calendar is up next.
Here's your Bridge City News community calendar. Big Brothers Big Sisters in Lethbridge is searching for volunteers to mentor children and youth in their various programs. Volunteers commit anywhere from 1 hour a week to 1 full year. They have many kids on their wait list that are looking for a big brother or sister. Make a difference in a child's life and start something big. For more info, call 403-328-9355 or email info.leth@bigbrothersbigsisters.ca. Blankets for Canada Lethbridge meets Thursdays at 10 a.m. to noon at Southminster United Church. Share your knitting and crocheting skills to keep those who are in need in our community warm. Donations of yarn and financial gifts are greatly appreciated and can be dropped off at the church. For more info, visit blanketsforcanada.ca or call 403-329-6586. Do you have a passion for writing? The River Bottom Writers invite you to join them the 2nd and 4th Thursday of every month at 6:45 p.m. in the Richardson Oilseed Room at Lethbridge College for a session of informal writing practice. All genre writers are welcome. Bring your pen, paper, or laptop. And that's your Bridge City News Community Calendar.
And now for today's life hack. Do you get a lot of headaches? Follow the 20-20-20 rule. Look at something for 20 feet from 20 feet away for 20 seconds every 20 minutes. This is a proven method to stop eye strain and therefore stop headaches. Sounds pretty smart. Well, yesterday we took an in-depth look at the magic little serum that has been responsible for saving thousands of lives. I'm talking about naloxone. Arches, the safe injection site, hands it out in their Narcan kits. I visited the site and they showed me a step-by-step demonstration of how to use the serum if you witness an overdose.
Stephanie Spurrier is the take-home naloxone worker at Arches. It's her job to educate people on how to administer the naloxone serum if they witness an opioid overdose. We were curious about how to use naloxone to save a life and found out that inside each Narcan kit, there's a step-by-step guide.
We follow this little acronym at the bottom here. It's SAVE ME, and that's the acronym that we go by when we are using naloxone. So the first thing we need to do is stimulate the individual, the S for SAVE ME, and make sure that they are actually experiencing an opioid overdose. If you get no response, that's when we need to move on to our next steps. A for airway, and we need to make sure that the individual is breathing.
If the person isn't breathing, you need to move on to the next step in the SAVE ME acronym, which is V for ventilate.
When we are breathing for an individual, we want to lay them flat on their back. We'll open up their airway, do a head tilt chin lift, so that way when we are breathing for them, the oxygen goes into their lungs. And then we take our mask. We're going to pinch their nose, so that way no oxygen goes out their nose. So if we just visualize that this is their mouth, we put this large piece into the person's mouth, make a seal as much as possible with your mouth on there, pinch their nose, and do one breath every 5 seconds for 2 minutes. So usually I just count to my head. I say breathe, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathe, 2, 3, 4, 5. That can be enough to bring somebody out of an overdose. So we may not even need to administer naloxone. So our next step in the SAVE ME acronym is evaluate, the E for save. Are they responding to us? Are they waking up? Are they talking to us? If they do not respond to us, that is when we go on to our muscular injection step, and we're going to inject naloxone into them. This is our naloxone vial. It's got that plastic cap on the top. That's how we know it's sterile still. So we just pop that off, and then we have a rubber stopper right here, right, and put it almost all the way in. So the needle tip itself is just above the gray cap. So we're gonna draw up the naloxone. We just pull down on this plunger, and it'll fill up. We just let gravity help us. When we inject it, we want to go all the way up to the end of the needle there. I always encourage people just hold it like a dart and be very confident and go right into the leg. Just go right in at the middle of the leg at the side. These needles are designed to go through the clothing, they go through the skin, and all the way into the muscle.
And remember to get the person to a doctor right away because naloxone wears off after 30 to 60 minutes.
If you want to learn more about this life-saving serum, Lethbridge College has plans to offer the public naloxone training and a free workshop offered by Arches this Thursday from 1 till 2:30 p.m. Participants will learn how to detect an opioid overdose and how to respond. Those who complete the training will receive a certificate. Participants should register in advance. Samaritan's Purse has opened an emergency field hospital in Freeport in the Bahamas to provide vital medical help to those who are impacted by Hurricane Dorian. They received more than 90 patients on their first full day of operation back on September the 10th. Distributions of emergency items continue as their DC-8 aircraft is making daily flights to and from the Bahamas to deliver personnel and relief supplies. Global News Alliance's Peter Wooding produced this report.
We were totally underwater. It was something that we had never experienced before. We've been through numerous hurricanes, but this one came with the water that came up to the level of most of our monitoring equipment, our beds, medical, surgical materials, all of it gone.
We are in Freeport, Bahama, where Hurricane Dorian came through just a few days ago. So we were asked by the Ministry of Health here and the World Health Organization to fly in our DC-8, our emergency field hospital, to help take care of people here. So who you see behind me are doctors, there's nurses, there's technicians, many different people from many different skill sets that are all working together to set up physically this emergency field hospital that will be taking care of all the northern islands of the Bahamas. We feel it's important to be here throughout the night so that we minimize the amount of time before people can get care.
We were an 86-bed hospital before this all began, and we've been reduced to 10 physical beds that we can supply right now.
The goal is to not set up a parallel system, but provide support so they can temporarily rest their staff. Obviously, a lot of them have lost homes, and then of course to refurbish the hospital. We can handle general surgery, we have an orthopedic surgeon, we have an OB-GYN doctor, so we can deliver, we can do C-sections, we have midwives, we also have ER, ICU staff, full monitoring capabilities, we can do intubations, we have vents, so we can do basically everything.
We have Samaritan Purse on the ground with us. We do appreciate the health services as well as the humanitarian services, so that is tremendous response coming in to us.
There's a lot of people suffering here, and we're here to relieve a small amount of that suffering. I would ask for everyone's prayers and support as we undertake this work and as God uses us to reach the people of the Bahamas.
The federal Liberals have a plan in place to ban single-use plastics by the year 2021. BCN's Hal Roberts speaks with energy policy analyst David Yeager about what this means for our petroleum industry. That's after the break. Stay with us.